Vanderweide with the Spotlight interview series on VidetteVanderweide.com. And today I'm super excited to bring you the Spotlight interview because I'm here with my friend Debbie Hamilton with dhhealinglight.com. And she has just moved into a whole new evolution of her life, and one that I believe takes a lot of courage. And I wanted her to come on here and talk about what that was like, and we will get to what she's doing now. But Debbie, just tell us a little bit about where your journey began in career, or in the journey of finding your purpose to what you're doing now. So talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, it began in bits and pieces throughout my life, but probably became most recognizable about 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. It was brought to my attention, and then continued to be brought to my attention at a more rapid pace.
And when you say brought to your attention, talk a little bit about what you're doing now, and how those signs showed up for you.
Okay, I am a medium. I speak with those who have passed on to people here on the earth plane, and help them bring closure to their relationships, mm-hmm. any troubles that they might have had in the passing of the person, or just to say hi and I love you type thing. So I always knew throughout my life that I had certain psychic abilities. Mm-hmm. Growing up, I chalked it off as coincidence. Mm-hmm. And then it was where, like I said, it became more and more apparent. It was being brought to me. Somehow or another, I kept ending up speaking with psychics, mm-hmm. or clairvoyants, people of that sort. I wasn't searching them out. They just happened to run into my trail, so to speak. Yeah. And each one proceeded to tell me that I had various gifts, and then it started up with the fact that I was a medium. Mm-hmm. That was something that's always interested me. I always thought it would be really great to be one, but at that point I realized that I was one. Mm-hmm. So of course there was a little bit of cynicalness, I guess, toward me. But it just kept coming and coming in very interesting ways.
Can you expand on that? Like, give us examples, or I just love this stuff. So I want to know, like, how does it show up for you when you have that gift?
Well, the way it was showing up at this point was the psychics or mediums themselves were actually in discussion with me, telling me that they were seeing lots of spirit around me, and the spirit was wanting to know when I was going to claim the gift and start speaking for them and start giving them this connection with their loved ones back here on Earth. Mm-hmm. And it just continued on from one psychic to the next medium. And as I said, I wasn't even seeking them out. I was, in one case, I had ended up going to one as like a little 5-minute teaser convention. I went along with a friend, and she wanted to get read. And while I was in the room, I said, "Well, go ahead and read me." And in her 5-minute situation, she basically said, "You do know you're a medium." And I said, "Nope, I did not."
So did you really not think it, or was there still a feeling like, oh, maybe she's right, but I'm not going to claim that? And was it more of a defense of no, I'm not, or did you really kind of know?
It was more of a defense. It was, yes, I would like to be it, but almost as though, for me and a lot of people I speak with, not a why me in that poor pitiful me. Mm-hmm. It's a wow, that's a pretty huge gift, and right. What have I done in my lifetime to deserve such a huge gift? Mm-hmm. Because I do look at it as a very huge gift.
Right.
So that's part of probably the main part for me. I know there's a lot of people who maybe aren't into this realm or don't understand mm-hmm. it. The questions get asked, aren't you afraid? Aren't you scared you're going to become possessed? What if you come around the corner in your house and you run into someone? Mm-hmm. For me, that's not fun. So that's one of the reasons I know that I am a medium.
Right.
Because
there's no fear.
It just doesn't matter.
Right.
So when she had said this to me, it was very much a wow. That's an awful big challenge or big gift to take on.
Right.
And by the end of the conversation, she said, all you have to do is accept it mm-hmm. and say you accept it, and then you'll start the road or the journey. Mm-hmm. So I did.
Okay.
And she told me I would have validation within 48 hours, and I wasn't quite sure, or confirmation, what she meant by that. So I left, and even when the confirmation came through, I didn't realize what it was.
Okay, you got to talk about it. I have to. What was it?
Well, I had the friend that I was with. Her and I were talking and thought we would like to start maybe doing some meditation mm-hmm. for relaxation and stress relief. And she happened to mention that there was this little shop in the neighborhood, and she thought that they did meditation. Mm-hmm. So I happened to wander into the shop the next day to find out their cost and their scheduling and what all it involved. And it turned out that it was more of a new age shop. Mm-hmm. So I walked in and once again completely I have no idea what all these crystals mean and what all these books mean. And it was just like a whole new world for me when I walked in there. And I started talking to the gal behind the counter and asking her about meditation. And she told me that the only time they had the meditation was in this one class that they which was called the Six Clairs, clairvoyance, clairsentience, and I quite honestly was expecting to walk into what was going to be a more or less a makeshift gym type thing with spin classes and meditation classes, and that's how naive I was about the whole thing. And she told me, she said, this is the class that you should be in, the Six Clairs. So at that point, I said, I questioned her and said, are you psychic? And she said, yes, I am. And I said, so are you picking up anything? And she said, yes, I am. Mm-hmm. And as she said, I'm going to get you more information. And as she turned to walk away, she turned back and looked over her shoulder and said, don't be surprised when you find out you're a medium. But I didn't realize that was the confirmation. And then I was speaking to the girl prior that had originally told me it. And I said, funniest thing happened. And she said, that was your validation. That was your confirmation. I told you you'd get something in 48 hours. Mm-hmm. That was it. One more person telling you.
Yeah.
And then from that point on, it just continued on. Just, over and over, becoming more rapidly, more poignant, mm-hmm. Right in my face, to the point where I just had to roll with it.
Yeah. I think what's so important about what you just said about getting the validation is, you were told that you were going to get a validation in 48 hours. But I think what's good to remind people is when we ask the universe, or we kind of put out in the universe, give me a sign. A lot of people say, oh, I just need a sign, which way to go. And when you're aware, you'll get your messages, but not necessarily in the way that you may think you'll get them. So, a big bird's not going to drop the message written on a note card to you saying, yes, go in this direction, or yes, go in that direction. They show up, spirit, the universe, whatever, speaks through people, and it comes in a conversation, it comes in a TV commercial or something. And so do you find that you're more aware now as you develop and grow into this new role that you play now in life? Are you developing more intuitiveness in your conversations and things like that to keep moving in the direction you're supposed to go?
Yes. Well, the main thing I found out now through all my studies, because you're handed this and you're told you this, but it's okay, what do I do with it? It's not like you just wake up one morning and start reading for people. You need to really understand how it all works and all of the steps you have to take, mainly to protect myself, and to know that I'm tapping in, and what I'm tapping into is in fact right and accurate, so I'm not misleading people. But what I've found is that all along, a lot of the things that were happening to me that it didn't dawn on me that this is what it was. So every day it happens. It can be very subtle, as subtle as something dropping to the floor, to something just a thunderbolt right in my face.
Right.
The other day, I happened to walk out of my lodge, and very apparent, two orbs just circled me.
Wow.
And and of course, me still kind of being, I literally walked back into the garage and walked back out to see if it would happen again, because I thought, well, maybe it was the light from the dark.
Maybe I'm crazy.
It was the light going from the dark, and it was very clear. They came around my head and circled twice, and then I saw them go off. And so those are very
just awesome. So I want to kind of go back further, because I know this started whispering to you. It's been whispering. This gift has been whispering to you throughout your life, and sometimes that's what happens. We get those silent whispers of something. But 5 years, beyond 5 years ago, you were in a very left brain kind of job, career as a graphic designer. So you haven't been you haven't been exposed to this new gift this gift that you're now evolving even more. You were a graphic designer, and then went from that to now being a medium. So how was that decision?
I'm sorry?
How was that decision? How hard was it for you to make the decision to leave graphic design to explore and evolve as a medium?
Well, to be honest, I haven't left the graphic design field. That business is still going, and will probably continue to go, because I built it to a nice, strong business. Right.
I love
that.
But
what I've done is I've worked towards shoring it up with my staffing, because I certainly don't want to shut it down, because I don't want to put anybody out of work, and it's a very good business. So, and it's also my safety net, which is allowing me to go and do this end of it and build this end of it without having to worry about making rent,
paying the bills.
So, paying the bills, because no matter what, gift or not, you still have to do that. And so there was a lot of work going into it. When I going to classes and so forth, it was where I just started as a hobby, going to the classes, learning, and getting involved with a group of like-minded people, and started finding them as my family and community, so to speak. And started understanding it more, getting better at it, enjoying it, really loving it. But I still kept getting messages saying, this is really what you're meant to do. This is your life purpose. So I then started looking at it as, okay, that maybe this is the second half of my life. This is my new chapter. But not closing the first chapter. Right. And so that's when I started looking at, okay, how can I make both ends of the business work without maxing myself out to a point where I go into burnout, and or one or the other is not getting the full attention it needs. So began sitting down and going through it and putting it on paper, and still do each and every day of how I can manage both ends of the business, and not let one end go because it's the end that pays the bills, or let the other end go because this is my passion, so I ignore the other one. So it's been a road, or a very narrow road that I've been balancing, but it's worked out well, and it's just slowly evolved. And where I really took it from being a hobby, so to speak, into this is time, it actually wasn't. It was a push that I got, and it was actually very interesting the way it happened. The networking group that we belong to, where we've met, I happened to be there at the meeting one day and networking my graphic business. And it was very interesting because it was like I was pushed in a moment, and I was told, the next time you come to this meeting in 1 month, you will be promoting the mediumship healing end of the business and no longer the graphics. Wow. And at that moment, it came to me. I made a beeline for the director and said, next time I'm coming to promote another end of my business, A, do you have a problem with the end of my business that I'm going to promote? And B, how do I do it? And that month I came in. Not only did I come in, but I actually decided to take out a table, right? To exhibit. I walked out of there scratching my head, thinking, "What did I just do?
What have I done?"
And had a very nice, calm conversation with Spirit all the way home, saying, "You got to back me here." And every time I ask, back me, they back me.
They back me.
They're right behind me.
What was it like coming? I don't want to say coming out, but that's how I'm going to say it. Like coming out to your family and friends and saying, "Okay, I'm going to start coming out to the public about this gift that I have." How was that taken, and did you have support with that?
Yes. As far as my family is concerned, and even friends, there's still some friends that don't know I do this. Some of them, I just stepped up and boldly said, "Guess what I'm doing?" And those are the people that have walked with me on this journey for the last 5 years. And I've just sensed who I could do that with and who I needed to hold back with a little bit. And so there are some people who actually don't even know that I do this. Right. Other people, my sister I had spoken with just a little bit about, and told her, and what ended up happening was when it actually came to be, and I was having what I call I was doing healing days, where it was a 4 or 5 hour day book your appointment and like an introduction rate for reading or healing. And I made up a flyer and so forth. And I thought, so how do I tell my sister? So what I did, and I also did this to a couple of friends. One friend that we kept trying to get together for lunch, and every time something would come up. So what I finally did was I emailed it to them and, hey, I'm thinking about attending. Are you interested in going with me? And then
but they didn't know it was you hosting it?
Well, it took them a few minutes, My sister was really funny because she emailed back and said, sure, if you want to go, I'll go with you. And then a while later, I got an email, I'm confused. What is? And so I told her, I said, well, it's me. I said,
oh my gosh.
I'm joking. But you can come.
Yeah.
So that's, in some cases, that's how I have approached family and friends, just more from a joke, and then worked my way into it.
I think what is a really great point here is you said, and I wrote it down, you sensed who you needed to hold back on. And I think as we, as women, especially move into a new evolution of our life, where we start to explore a little bit about our purposes, and I love your story because I think I am very open to mediumship and energy healing and all of that. There's still a great part of our society who isn't open yet to that, and so to step into what you're stepping into takes a lot of courage. It's not just stepping into, I'm going to open a business, but even when we do that, there are still people who are going to poo-poo your dream or poo-poo your purpose and say, oh, why are you doing that in this economy, or what is that even? And so there are people I know in my own personal life that I just don't talk business with because they don't get it. So for you, I think you're just the extreme end of the spectrum in that, especially in the gifts that you have, there are a lot of people who are going to be like, that's awesome, I want to know more, and I want to work with you. And then there's going to be people who think you're crazy, quite honestly. Yeah. So to step into it is very, very courageous. And I think an example of what women should do when they're getting that calling, step into it and leave, not leave behind, but just don't tell people that are going to poo-poo it.
Right. And there are people that I'll go to lunch and I don't even bring it up. Yeah. When they say, how's business? I talk all about the graphic end of it. There are sets of business cards with me, and if I'm not exactly sure, I, ask my source, ask spirit, which card, and they pull the card out for me and hand it to the person. So it is interesting. It's I know in my graphic business there were the naysayers, so to speak. Can you do this? The ability and so forth. Well, this one, not only do you get that end of it, but you get the religious end of it. And it's either religious-based or fear-based.
Yes.
And very frightened. There's people I know that they will let me do Reiki on them all day long. They love Reiki. But if I speak spirit, you can literally see their whole body start to shudder out of fear.
And you had mentioned earlier that you were raised in a Catholic family, and I know coming from a Catholic family, I can just see myself going to talk to my grandfather and saying, "Oh, I'm a medium," like he'd probably just die. It's not really readily accepted as from the Catholic side of it. So again, you have all of that stuff, those subconscious beliefs and programming as well for you to get over and work through, as well as then trying to go to your Catholic family and say, this is what I'm doing. So that's a whole other aspect. And, anyone raised in the Catholic religion knows how it's driven into you, and you live with a lot of stuff from it.
Right.
So
that end very tough for me. And, once again, I'll get maybe even deeper into this, where people might go running and flying from this interview, but not only did I have to contend with that, but what I was finding every time I went to somebody or had an aura picture taken, the same came up, and that is right here at the top of your head. There's a block. The information comes in, and you're spitting it out. And what it was coming down to was past life regressions. Even past lives. But apparently I have had this gift in many past lives, and in many of the past lives, because it wasn't accepted at all. My life was either a very sheltered, closed-in life, or ended tragically.
Because of your gift.
Because of the gift. And or I would go in hiding, and in one life I left home. I left my family and everything to protect them. Apparently they came looking for, and their lives were taken, and mine was spared to have to live with this.
Yeah, you have to live with that.
Yeah, so as a result, all of this has come forward with me. I bring it into each life, this fear base, or this embarrassment or whatever. And so that has also caused me to have a significant block being able to let the information come in and put the information out there. So there was a lot of work that had to be done on healing that part of me. And then accepting and trusting that the information I was getting was in fact accurate information and not my own head going. I had to, step away from my ego and put that basically in the closet. And still then it's a struggle, and I think it's a struggle for pretty much everybody that does this. They always have to say, is my ego stepping in here? And because I need to move it aside and not question what's being said.
Right.
So
as we wrap up, are there any last minute golden nuggets that you want to share with viewers on just kind of stepping into your purpose and how important it is? No matter what?
Yeah, no matter what. Just if it's your love, if you're passionate about it, just go headstrong into it. Just focus on it, and when you get it, you'll become so much better, so much bigger that you'll just be so fulfilled that, and quite honestly, anybody that cares about you and loves you, they'll be there to support you. And just, and the information that you think might bother them, leave it out. It's okay.
That was great advice. I think that was
you don't
probably
have to be an open book. But just follow your passion, because you only have one life. Well, we have many lives to live, but on this earth plane, in this life,
right now,
you have a certain amount of time. So get done what you want to get done.
Well, good. Well, Debbie, I want to thank you for having the courage to share your story with us and to share it with many women. And you can check out Debbie and all of her services at DH Healing Light, and that link is on the page of this video. And thank you, Debbie. Thank you for being here, sharing your story. Thank you, the viewers, for watching this, and we will see you on the next Spotlight interview at VidetteVanderweide.com. See you later.